The one thing any comprehensive study of the historical Jesus should hopefully reveal is that Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus the man, is every bit as compelling, charismatic, and praiseworthy as Jesus the Christ. He is, in short, someone worth believing in. Welcome back to the show. And, boy, have I got a doozy for you today. There's no easy way around this. This is the cover of the comic I'm going to be looking at. Green Lantern number 89, and Through Him Save a World. You may not know this, but I consider myself a progressive liberal Catholic. In fact, a majority of Catholics are liberal. Therefore, we believe that the government has a role to play in making the world a better place for everyone. The same way we believe that the church has a role to play in making the world a better place for anyone. So, as such, it's kind of difficult for me to approach this sort of unique scenario, because when you talk about any sort of religious figure that's really, really important in a comic book, you gotta be careful, because you're kind of walking around on eggshells. So, how do O'Neill and Adams handle this? With all the subtlety of a sledgehammer to the face. Our story begins with Green Arrow reading about a newspaper article. See, this environmentalist named Joshua pretended to be a painter who was going in to do the walls of Ferris Aircraft's office. Only thing is, the paint, it wasn't exactly paint. See, Joshua has a sense of humor about fighting pollution, so he decided to pay Ferris Aircraft a favor, considering they were pumping pollution into the air and the local environment that he lives in. That's right. The paint he used was made of sewage and feces. Well, at least now we know where Matt and Trey from South Park got the inspiration for that episode in which Cartman sets up an entire business around painting people's houses with paint made from feces. While Oliver Queen is out near the woods near Ferris Aircraft, by the way, Ferris Aircraft is owned by Carol Ferris, Hal Jordan's girlfriend, Oliver Queen stumbles upon, oh hi, obvious Jesus stand-in. Seriously, look at him. He's Jesus. He's freaking Jesus. Let's talk about the historical Jesus, because I think some context is needed. Most modern scholars of antiquity agree that Jesus did exist, and regard theories of his non-existence as effectively refuted, believing that he was born somewhere between 7 and 4 BC and died between 30 and 36 AD. The historicity of Jesus has been established by Jewish sources like Josephus and Roman sources such as Tacitus, and these sources are compared and contrasted to Christian sources such as the letters of Paul and the Synoptic Gospels. Other sources like, say, Septimus also wrote about him within mere decades of his existence. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would it take decades for people to write about Jesus Christ? Well, people like Pliny and Herodotus also wrote about historical events decades after they happened, and modern scholars agree that, for the most part, what they had to say was, in fact, historically accurate. The point of all this is that Jesus as a historical figure is rather hard to write about, let alone Jesus the Christ. So when you do in fact write about him, you really gotta be careful, because it's hard to represent anybody who's any kind of historical figure accurately. There are good representations of Jesus Christ that are actually interesting.
Yea, look upon me and know me. My children, you should know something. I'm packing.
And then there's bad representations like, somebody's got to teach this book a lesson. The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! Meanwhile, Hal saves Carol and a foreman from an accident at Ferris Aircraft. But you see, the accident wasn't an accident. Spoiler warning, Isaac caused this. But why? Well, you see, for him, it's personal. It's not just that he cares about the environment. He does, but you see, he was a scientist. And he had a bit of a problem. He was being poisoned by the very things that he was creating. It made him see the error of his ways. So evidently, Isaac found out that the very things that science was creating all around him and which he was contributing to were also causing an onset of air pollution that was aggravating lung disease, which was already prevalent in his family. And doctors told him that he too was going to succumb to lung disease unless he found a way to get out of seriously polluted areas. Isaac, however, reasons that there's really no place he can go to escape pollution. So he decided to strike back by striking at the industrial complex and taking out and aggravating the most pollutant companies that he could find, including Ferris Aircraft. Green Arrow, of course, loves the guy and is eager to help him strike back at the man when Hal Jordan comes up and confronts Isaac about what he did, including the fact that, your little sabotage stunt could have actually hurt people. I am just loving the expression on this guy's face. It was like the idea that his stunt would actually get somebody hurt didn't even occur to him. And this was a guy who was supposed to be a scientist. Green Lantern wants to take Isaac in so that he can be tried in a court of law. Okay, fine, let Isaac plead his case. But Green Arrow's not having any of it, and he knocks Hal out with a knockout gas. Unfortunately, that sort of pisses Isaac off because he's a pretentious stuck-up jerk. The two heroes get knocked out by corrupt cops that are working for Ferris Aircraft, and they're dragged back to the site where the airplanes are. And then this happens.
We need him crucified. It's all you have to do.
These guys created an obvious Jesus stand-in to make a cheap political point about the environment. I know we tend to bring up the whole superheroes as messianic figures thing a lot, especially with Superman as Jesus. I mean, I've seen Man of Steel. The Jesus imagery is everywhere. But, look, here's the thing. If you're gonna do this type of imagery, if you're gonna do this type of religious symbolism and stuff, you gotta be clever, or you gotta be subtle. This isn't subtle! Look at this. It's practically screaming, I am Jesus! I am Jesus! Oh, but it gets worse. It gets way worse. At first, the local manager just wants to cut the guy down and turn him over to the police, even though they have no idea how he somehow got up there. Maybe God lifted him up there. But the point is, they decide, no, they don't want to turn him over to the police. They're angry at him for causing all those sabotage attempts and for, painting their office with sewage and poop paint, so they decide to leave him there for a weekend. Green Arrow, however, doesn't take it well and yells at them for being greedy and stupid and not understanding the damage they're doing to the environment and blah, blah, blah. Insert environmental message here. It basically becomes as preachy as Avatar. Only without the blue furry monkey people. Actually, blue furry monkey people would have made this very, very interesting. I could use some of Green Lantern fighting blue monkey people. I'd like to see that. Green Lantern fighting blue monkey people. But that's not what we get. What we get is more pretension as Isaac preaches down to them, saying, "Shall we compromise with death?" Green Arrow, of course, yells at him because, they're trying to save his life, but the two of them just get knocked out and, of course, strung up with him on those crosses as, "I wash my hands of this whole matter." Get it? It's just like Pilate. Do you get it? And it gets worse.
Baby Jesus, do you know you'll die for all our sins?
They went there. Oh my God. I am sorry. I am really sorry for losing my temper, but this is just disgusting. This is horrifically, contemptuously manipulative and preachy. There was no allegory. There was no metaphor. There was no real creativity put into this story, and they put in 3, count 'em, 3 freaking crucified people to make a freaking point on how we should save the freaking trees. Freaking Greenpeace would look at this comic and go, "Jesus Christ, you're overdoing it, guys." I mean, my God. And you want to know the worst part? Oh, we're not over yet. Here's the worst part. An innocent man has just died. And do you want to know what this dumb broad says? I suppose progress must always claim victims. Nobody talks like that! This is it. This is without a doubt the worst story that O'Neill and Adams ever did for the Green Lantern and Green Arrow crossover series. It sucks. What could possibly be a more offensive portrayal of Jesus Christ than this? Nope. Still not worse than this. The only reason this story isn't as bad as Superman Grounded by JMS is because you can sort of use the excuse that it was over 40 years ago. They didn't know any better. They were just stupid, and everybody was preachy and moralistic in how they got their ethical points across. What a load. I don't know what to say. Green Lantern deserved better than this. If you want good comics that examine themes of spirituality and religion, I recommend the stories JLA, Gods and Monsters, or the excellent Elseworlds tale, Kingdom Come. I assure you, they are well worth your time, and a whole lot better than this comic. As for me, I'm curling up with a good book. Nothing to reaffirm my faith in God than reading about the devil. Till next time.